Now, back to the Property Tax Show with Brad Hayes, president of Illinois Tax Appeal Services on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back. With me on the phone is State Senator Jim Oberweis from Illinois' 25th District. Senator Oberweis of Sugar Grove has served in the Illinois State Senate since January 2013. He serves as the Republican spokesperson for the Labor Commerce Committee and is a member of the Appropriations, Environment, Local Government, and Public Health Committees, a lifelong resident of the Fox Valley area. Jim graduated from Army and Military Academy. He earned an undergraduate degree in political science from the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana and an MBA from the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business. His first job was a math and science teacher at Waldo Junior High School in Aurora. He later launched a career in the financial services industry. Today, Oberweis Asset Management manages approximately $2 billion in growth stock assets. Jim also serves as the chairman of Oberweis Dairy, a family business he purchased in 1986 that was founded by his grandfather in 1926. Oberweis Dairy is a processor of superior quality milk and ice cream, which now has 42 ice cream stores and employs over 1,200 employees. Jim and his wife, Julie, have 5 adult children, 2 stepchildren, and 20 grandchildren. Welcome, Senator Oberweis, and thank you for joining me this evening.
Thanks, Brad. Pleasure to be with you.
So things are becoming very exciting now in the national and local elections, and I guess the big topics in Illinois are property taxes and the budget. Can you update us where we are with the Illinois budget?
Well, yes. The answer is simple: nowhere.
Yeah.
This has been a very, very frustrating process that we've gone through. The governor initially had 20 items on a reform agenda that he believed were necessary to help turn our state around. He has compromised down to just 5 issues, and they're common sense, easy to approve issues. Things like redistricting reform, to take redistricting out of the hands of the politicians and put in an independent commission. So-called tort reform or lawsuit reform, which merely would stop venue shopping. It says that if you're filing a lawsuit, file it in the county in which the incident occurred, or the county in which the plaintiff lives, or the county in which the defendant lives, or at least in the county in which, if it's against a company, the county in which the company has a presence. That's just common sense. Unfortunately, what happens now is lawyers want to file suits in Madison County, which is near St. Louis, because it's known as a judicial hellhole, because the awards that have been issued there are of an extreme nature, frequently way out of line with awards in any other county. And unfortunately, frequently plaintiffs' attorneys get a share of the award, so those attorneys want to get the highest awards they can. And those same attorneys tend to be large contributors to Mr. Michael Madigan and his Democrat allies in the Illinois House. So it's hard for Mr. Madigan to accept that kind of reform because it means that he'll probably get less campaign cash. However, that type of reform is critical to make Illinois a more business-friendly state. The governor is also proposing term limits to limit state legislators to 10 years in serving in the legislature in Springfield, which makes, in my opinion, all kinds of common sense. Because when people are serving for a limited period of time, they're more likely to vote in ways that they believe are good for the state and good for the country, rather than just in ways that are good for their own reelection. That just makes all kinds of common sense, in my opinion. He's also proposed a property tax freeze and workman's comp reform. Workman's comp reform costs businesses in Illinois double and sometimes more than double what it does for the same kind of business operating in Indiana. We need to be competitive on a state-by-state basis, or we're going to continue to lose jobs to surrounding states. Indiana has been the number 1 recipient of businesses moving from Illinois with those jobs. And as we lose jobs, we lose that tax revenue, which just makes the situation even worse. So while this is incredibly difficult to go through, incredibly painful, and unfortunately the people most in need of state help are the ones who are being most hurt by this, it's also critical that the governor maintain his position, which is that we must have some of these reforms to keep businesses and jobs here in this state before we talk about increasing taxes. Because increasing taxes without those reforms is just going to drive more businesses and more jobs out of the state. Illinois is one of, I believe, only 2 states in the nation to actually lose population the last couple of years.
No, we are. We're definitely losing. We're losing every day. They're saying that one person leaves Illinois every 5 minutes.
Well, I haven't calculated the number, but it's certainly it's challenging. And
it is challenging.
As people leave, they take with them the revenue. And by the way, it's even worse than those numbers might appear, because the people who are moving into Illinois typically have lower incomes than the people moving out of Illinois. So even if we had a flat population, we would be losing ground. But we don't have flat; we're losing people. So it's really a very, very dangerous situation, and that's why it's so critical that we get these reforms and we get them now. But Mr. Madigan is fighting tooth and nail. I think he's concerned about losing campaign cash that he gets from the plaintiffs' bar, and also from some of the public sector unions. One of the other provisions of the property tax freeze is that it would give municipalities the discretion, the local control, as to whether or not they want to use project labor agreements. Project labor agreements are something that the unions heavily favor, so allowing municipalities to decide whether they want to use those or not, the unions are opposed. And again, the unions are typically large contributors to Mr. Madigan and his allies.
Well, since we're talking about property taxes, as you know, we have the second highest property taxes in the nation. And at the rate we're going, it looks like we're going to become number one pretty soon. And Chicago just had the highest property tax in their history. What do you hear from people in your district about the property taxes?
That is a very red-hot, serious issue, and it's a reason that several people have given for moving out of the state. So that's something that we need to find a way to deal with. And it's not just property taxes. If you add up the property tax, the income tax, the sales tax, and all the taxes in Illinois, we are one of the very highest tax states in the entire nation.
We are. And, when the politicians can't get along and then the budgets aren't passed and the debt grows, the taxpayers start looking at everything. And the average Illinois state government job paid 29% higher than the average Illinois private sector job. And this is significantly above the national average of state government jobs, which was about 16.8%. Why does Illinois pay so much higher than our other states to the government jobs?
Well, the answer is, to me, quite clear, but you have to look a little bit beyond the obvious to understand it. And the answer is, look, I have negotiated union contracts on behalf of Oberweis Dairy with the Teamsters Union. I've negotiated contracts on behalf of a company called Colborne Foodbotics with the aerospace engineers. And in those cases, and in all in private sector negotiated contracts, the union represents hopefully the best interests of labor, and management represents the interests of the owners of the business. And you fight, you argue, and then you come eventually to some type of an agreement that both sides can live with. Unfortunately, when we start talking about public sector unions, you don't have the same dynamic. We have a situation where clearly the unions are arguing on behalf of labor, but the governor or the governor's office, who would be on the other side of those negotiations, has a different interest. He doesn't have quite the same interest of the owners, in this case the taxpayers. He's at least as interested in what is he going to get in terms of campaign cash? What is he going to get in terms of votes? What is he going to get in terms of labor help on Election Day? As a result, you don't have the same dynamic. You have instead almost a sweetheart deal where past governors have given in and said, okay, yeah, we'll give you this increase, and we'll give you higher pensions, and we'll pay for your medical costs, and give you a platinum plan, and so on and so forth. In return for which, however, I expect a great turnout of voters on Election Day. I expect you to help me fill my campaign coffers, and I also expect to have people walking door to door in support of my reelection. And I believe that happened under both Republican and Democrat governors for the last 20 or 30 years. Now we've got a governor in there who says, hey, I don't care about that stuff. I'm here to help Illinois taxpayers. And if it means I've got to take a lot of criticism, I'm going to do it. And I have a great deal of respect for what Bruce Rauner is doing. He's certainly taking a lot of abuse, but he's doing the right things to save the state of Illinois, to turn the state of Illinois around. A lot of people say, well, gee, why doesn't Illinois just declare bankruptcy and start over? The answer is we can't.
Yeah. This is Brad Hayes, the Property Tax Show. We're on the phone with Senator Oberweis, and we will return right after this commercial break. Thank you.